Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tanya and You, Chapter 28. Chapter 28 in Hebrew, it's Chav Ches, which spells Koyach. Chapter that gives us a lot of strength, a lot of Koyach that we need. It's another amazing chapter of the Tanya, short and sweet. It's not a very long chapter, straight to the point, but as always, extremely powerful and inspiring. Chapter 28 teaches us how to deal with a bully. Whether it's a bully in school or whether it's our internal bully, how to deal with it. And It's a fascinating chapter of Tanya. And just it's always good to hear some feedback. Recently, I've been talking to someone who I recommended to him a few weeks ago to start studying Tanya, but he wanted to do it from the beginning. So I say, you know what, we have our classes. We're up to chapter 28, a few weeks ago. You could follow us online on our YouTube channel or on Facebook to go back to the beginning. But he wanted to do it more in depth with all the text and everything. So I recommended him a channel to follow, and he tells me Tanya is changing his life, literally changing his life. It's revolutionary. It's unique. It's a um, uh, organized manner how to deal with our inner self, our struggles, our strength, and our weaknesses, and how to be better Jews. It's amazing to see how Tanya could really change a person's life. So, chapter 28, we continue where we left off in talking about the importance of happiness in Judaism and how do we get over the impediments? How do we get over the struggles, the roadblocks that seem to come in the way, to get in the way of our joy, of our simcha, of our happiness? We started in chapter 26, where we introduced the importance, the obligation, how crucial it is to have joy and happiness, gladness of the heart when we go through life, when we have to struggle, when we have to wrestle. It's not only about the techniques, but it's also about the motivation. If you're in a good mood, if you're happy, if you're motivated, then you'll be successful. So, as we said, happiness is not a luxury, it's an obligation. It's a necessity. But how do we deal with the issues, right? There are things that draw us down and they get us into depression, into sadness, melancholy. We're just down. And we start going through item by item, we itemize over here, how to deal with each issue. These are the most practical chapters of the Tanya. How to deal, what are some of the mental exercises, the thought processes, the meditation. What do we have to think about? What do we do to deal with these issues? So we started talking about when we have issues with maternal things like health, livelihood, family, real issues not to be ignored. They drag us down. We're sad. And Tanya says it may not be easy, but we have to have a strong faith and belief in God that everything is good. Everything that happens is for a reason. Everything comes from God. And the more we're able to internalize this idea, the more happy we will be. We went on to talk about our spiritual life that kind of drags us down. When we look at ourselves and we think about our day and we say, wait, I have failed. I have sinned over here. I wasn't living up to my own expectations over there. I'm not a good person. How can I be happy? And there the Tanya says, you have to designate times for repentance. We can't let it take you over because you got to serve God with joy. So yes, certain times you schedule time to think about our weaknesses. I failed. I have to be better. What am I going to do tomorrow that I shouldn't fail? But it can't totally take over my whole life. We have to have times where we focus on it and times we don't focus on it. Move on. And then last week, we spoke about another more like internal issue that person may be having, and that is like the imposter syndrome. Who am I? Perhaps I have not sinned, I haven't failed, but I have an urge. I have thoughts. If you would know my thoughts, what would you think of me? Seemingly, my inside and my outside are not in sync. The thoughts that come through my mind are distracting thoughts, and perhaps they are immoral thoughts, thoughts that are unbefitting for who I seem to be, my character. And for that, I feel like, am I a imposter? Am I fake? Or am I real? Who am I? Am I fooling the world? That was last week's discussion. And what we said is, no, you have to understand, who are you? You are someone that has two souls. You have a godly soul and you also have an animal soul. And that's who you are. And it's not a problem. It's not saying anything negative about the person. This is how God created us. And you know what? Every time you overcome some of these thoughts or these urges, these impulses, and you don't give in, God enjoys, has nachas from that. God enjoys the struggle, not only the result, but also the path, the journey to that result. God enjoys the struggle, and every time you overcome the struggle, oh, Shema's nachas. And that's what God created us for. So don't be sad about it. Be happy. Every time you overcome yourself, you should be happy with it. And on that note is where we continue in chapter 28. In chapter 28, we take this a step further, talking about our inner self. Who am I? Am I real or am I fake? And the Tanya says, what happens when these thoughts, these distracting thoughts and these immoral thoughts come to you, not while you're taking a walk on the levee, not while you're shopping in the grocery store, but it's happening at a moment where it shouldn't be happening. It's happening, for example, on Yom Kippur, by the Ne'ilah service or by the Kol Nidre service. And you have worked on yourself to focus, to be mindful of the moment where you're at, where you are in space. You're in the synagogue. In time, it's Yom Kippur. The ark is open. You're singing Kol Nidre. Where should your thoughts be? Of course, your thoughts should be in what the words that you're saying, your connection with God. It's a day of Yom Kippur. I mean, there isn't a holier day and a holier time and a holier space than that. And you work on yourself to achieve spiritual heights. And then suddenly, you have these thoughts flying into your mind. Distracting, foreign thoughts, as we say, machshavos zaros, foreign thoughts. What are these foreign thoughts? It could be thoughts of, what am I eating for the break the fast? Are the bagels out yet? Is it going to be good? Is it too heavy? Is it too light? Am I going to start with water? I'm going to go straight to the orange juice, right? All these thoughts that have nothing to do with the moment right now. This is the Ne'ilah prayer, the holiest moment of the year. What are you thinking about after fast? Now it's Yom Kippur. Or perhaps it's even worse than that. You're thinking about immoral thoughts, thoughts of lust, thoughts that are unbefitting for your character, whenever it is. And you're thinking, now? Now it's coming to me? How is this even possible? They say that there's this person who finished praying the Amidah prayer. And after he finishes praying, someone comes over to him and says, welcome, shalom aleichem, welcome back. He's like, welcome back? I didn't go anywhere. He says, I was looking at you while you were praying. It looks like your mind was wandering all around the world. So you seem like you just came back to reality. So our mind wanders. And there are thoughts that are distracting and immoral that come to our minds. And here we ask, I am working on myself to achieve spiritual heights. Now, obviously, it doesn't only have to be on Yom Kippur in synagogue, but whenever it is, I wake up in the morning and I set aside time to do my prayer. So I would think during these 20 minutes, at least let me be focused on my prayer. Let me be focused on God. During the time that I set aside for Torah study, at least during this time, let me be focused. And here, these thoughts come into my mind. Now. Why now? From left field. Again, seemingly it's like a reality check. I think that I am achieving spiritual heights and spiritual greatness. I'm on this journey to refine myself, to strengthen my relationship with God. So seemingly, while I am involved in this, I get this reality check that says, Mendel, you're climbing up the wrong ladder. This is not who you are. You're fooling yourself. That's the question. That's the question that this chapter deals with. Which, parenthetically, I think we mentioned this previously in the Tanya, where the Torah, we give weight to thoughts, right? Generally, we say, listen, if you don't act on it, who cares, all right? Who cares what you think about, right? As long as you keep your thoughts to yourself. But the Torah says no. You should not you should control even your thoughts. Your thoughts also have to be holy. So when suddenly we have unholy thoughts come into my mind, what's going to be? Who am I? And this may cause a person to, again, feel down. I'm trying to be happy. How can I be happy? Who am I? I'm very confused. I'm a confused soul. That's chapter 28. So we have two questions. First of all, what do we do? What do we do? What's the manual? What do I do at that moment when these thoughts come into my mind? That's A. And B, what does it say? More like an emotional question. What does it say about me? Am I not growing? Am I not growing in my connection with God? So the Tanya in 28 begins this chapter with a very, very simple, straightforward advice. It says, do you know what you should do? Very simple. Doesn't say very easy. Very simple. The simple thing is, don't think about it. Move away. Move away quickly from these thoughts. Easier said than done. Well, that's what it is. Don't entertain these thoughts, not for a moment. The moment you realize, meaning thoughts come into our mind without our control. That's just the way, right? The nature of thoughts. Thoughts are always processing. It's always thinking. And thoughts come into our mind. But the moment we realize, wait, what am I thinking about? This is not the right time. Not the right space. So now, instead of deliberately continuing that thought process, we push it away with two hands. We said, no, Mendel, no, not now. No, don't come in. You came in, get out. You got to leave the room. We can't continue thinking about these thoughts. Now, we know we can't just push away thoughts. How do we push away thoughts? With other thoughts. So focus. Mendel, stay focused. Focus on what you're at, on the thoughts you should be thinking. So move thoughts out by bringing other thoughts in. So right away, these thoughts come in, don't entertain them. Don't feed them. Just ignore. Ignore them by right away bringing in other thoughts, good thoughts. That's step one. Step one is you got to clean up. Okay. Now, step two is the dealing with the emotional reaction, where a person may be ashamed of these thoughts, maybe self-blaming. It may be bringing a person to depression. Am I failing in my spiritual journey? Right? These are the thoughts that may come in to our mind. Who am I? Right? And then we feel down. So the Tanya says, very importantly, do not let these things pull you down, because you are misreading the situation. Naturally, the Tanya says, and this is amazing, like you know, just like a paradigm shift. Naturally, you may think that these thoughts are a sign of failure. I'm failing at what I'm doing. But the Tanya says, truthfully, these thoughts are a sign of success. You're having these foreign thoughts while you're trying to pray. Oh, it's a good thing. It's a good sign. It's a good symptom. It's a symptom of something good. It's a symptom of success. If you weren't being successful, you wouldn't have had these distracting thoughts. We are in a political season now. People are running for office. So we see a lot of different ads and, rallies and meetings, right? So one side is attacking the other side. So imagine this. One side is being very successful, and they're doing very well in the polls. They're seemingly on the road to victory. And then suddenly they see these really strong ads, attack ads against them. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? Do they say, "Oh, look at all these ads. This is difficult. We got to step back"? Or do they say, "Wait, why are these ads suddenly popping up? Because we're being successful. Because they see that we have an edge, so now they start attacking back." When you're in a battle and you're being successful in your battle, that's when the opponent steps up their game. What's our battle? The Tanya says, reminds us, remember, you're in a battle every day. It's not meant to be easy. There's a battle between our two souls, our selfless and our selfish sides, our godly soul and our animal soul. There's this fight, there's this battle, there's this wrestling match. Remember that. So what happens when we sit down with a Tanya and we start studying? What happens when we're in synagogue on a Shabbat morning and we're praying? Who is happy and who is unhappy? Our divine soul is very happy. And who is unhappy? Our animal soul. They're no happy camper. You're in synagogue. So what do? Think they take a nap and go to sleep and wait till it's over? No. They step up their game. They start throwing in thoughts. Hey, you're being too focused on God at this moment. Here, think about this baseball game. Think about your vacation coming up. Think about these immoral thoughts. Why? Because we see that you're successful. They start throwing salad at you. Whatever sticks. We got to distract you. This is too good. The animal soul is not at ease. Is not comfortable with it in this setting. So they try to throw anything at you and bring all those thoughts. But the Tanya says you have to realize that this is not a sign of failure, but it's a sign of success. What an amazing perspective. Kind of throws this whole thing on its head. It's not a failure, it's a success. You may think that if I'm here to pray, trying to focus on God, and these thoughts are coming into my mind. It must be that I'm not fully focused. It's a problem with me. I'm not doing it well enough. I don't have the right tools. I'm not meant for this. You know, if you were going to a concert and that happened to you, you went to a concert, you paid the ticket, you drove all the way to the hall, and it's a whole ordeal, and you sit down, and the whole whatever 2 hours of the concert, you're sitting and you're spacing out, you're thinking about other things. Then I'll say, you know what? It's a waste of time. Like, why come to the concert if you're not even focused on what's going on? But that's because the concert is mundane and your thoughts were mundane. Okay, so you weren't focused today. It was a waste. But that's not the same with prayer, for example. Because here we have the struggle. It's so valuable that the other side is not happy with it. And remember, if we had one soul, then we'll be a confused soul. What is this? One day I'm happy to serve God, one day not. But if it's two separate souls, you have to remember that the nefesh or the is the godly soul trying to pray, and then there is another soul, another person, another voice that's trying to distract me. It's not one soul that's failing at spiritual journey. It's two separate souls. One is successful and one is unhappy with the success, trying to fight it. So a number of years ago, we hosted over here I guess professor, Dr. Izzy Kalman, who with positive psychology has this whole method, teaches children how to deal with bullying. Unfortunately, right, every school, every camp, every setting with children, there's always this issue of children bullying each other. And maybe not only children, maybe adults as well. So how to deal with the bully. So he has this program called Bullies to Buddies, I think it's right? And it's amazing because he demonstrates this with adults. Someone is bullying another person. What is our reaction? What do we do? So he says, naturally, we try to answer back. We try to explain ourselves. And then what happens is we get frustrated. And sometimes we start yelling back, we start hitting back, and we start bullying back. That's a natural reaction. You're trying to be stronger than me. I'll show you that I'm stronger than you. And what happens? What happens if that's our reaction? The bully steps up his game and they continue to bully. So he's very into this method of ignoring. Just ignore the bully. And he demonstrates this with, like, he gets two people up and he says, okay, or two people up, or he calls someone up and he starts to bully them, starts calling them names and whatever. And when you respond and you say, well, this is not, he's clarifying it, then it just it turns into a conversation where the bully is able to continue and continue and continue. You're feeding it its energy. And then you're getting dirty as well. Like the saying goes, never wrestle with a pig. You get dirty and the pig likes it. Ignore. Because when you ignore, the bully continues once, twice, 3 times, 4, but eventually it gets boring. And they move on. They just walk away. If the bully does not get a response, does not get a reaction, it walks away. If you react, you are getting dirty. So these are the rules of bullying. Someone's bullying you, ignore them. Because they want a response. They know that you have a response, and that's what they want. So just ignore them. The Tanya says, you are being bullied. If you are in Yom Kippur in synagogue and you have these thoughts, that's a bully. That's not you. Your divine soul is there. It's pure. It's doing what's right. It's being successful. Don't be confused. See the situation for what it is. You're being successful at what you're doing. Then there's a bully. Your animal soul is a bully. And it's bullying you. And how is it bullying you? It's throwing these thoughts into your mind. So what do? First of all, ignore it. Don't feed it. Ignore it. And when you ignore it, it goes away. And second of all, have the confidence in your godly soul that you are winning the battle. You are being successful. Don't allow it to derail you. Don't bite the bait. Today we give so much time and attention to our negative thoughts. You have to deal with it. We have to analyze it. The Tanya says part of the method of dealing with negative thoughts is ignoring it. And like we said, it's a good sign. It comes from a good place. It comes from a place of being successful at what I'm doing. Therefore, I have these thoughts. It's not, why do I have these thoughts? Who am I? What does it say about me? No, it says that you are a good person. It says that you're being successful and there is something in you that is unhappy with it. You have two souls. This idea of the two souls is so essential to life, to understand that you have an inner struggle. It's not one thing that's confused. It's two separate souls that are battling each other. There are two yous, right? Sometimes we get confused. What do I want for myself? Who am I? One day I feel so excited about God, about my Judaism, so excited to do a mitzvah. And the next day I couldn't care less. What does that say about me? It says that you are healthy. You have two souls that are battling each other. It's not one. You are not a confused soul. Don't allow the success of your journey to distract you, to derail you. Keep on trucking. If you're driving down the road and then there's a highwayman trying to stop you and get in, what do? You stop and you have a discussion with them, or you just continue driving? I'm sorry, I'm not stopping for you. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to stop and deal with these thoughts while you are on this journey. So that is what chapter 28, like I said, it's short and sweet. Read it inside. Very powerful. That's what chapter 28 tells us. You must remain happy. Why are you happy? Because you're being successful. What does it say about me? You know what it says? It says that you have an animal soul. That's a reality check. But the animal soul is piping up because it sees your success. So continue on. Don't back down. You're winning the war. Why are you backing down? Have that confidence. And with the confidence, you can go to war. In Hasidic circles, we always sing a lot of nigunim, right? A lot of Hasidic melodies, a lot of songs. We're into song, right? There's slow songs, there's fast songs, there's happy songs. And one of the genres of songs is marches, a march to victory. As armies sing a march. Right? We're going to war, and we know we have that confidence that we will be successful. It's the war of life, my friends. Don't let a little issue, a little ambush, derail you. Continue on. It's a good sign, and we'll be successful. So I'll leave you with that. Chapter 28 of Tanya. We'll continue next week with chapter 29. Have a Shavua Tov and have a good Shabbos.